There we go. Friday Night Comics. Welcome, everybody. I can't believe it's Friday night, partially because it's still daylight. Finally, we're in those long days over here, anyway, in the northern hemisphere, the northern part of the northern hemisphere. Anyway, welcome. It's Friday Night Comics. Thank you for being here, even if it's Saturday morning for you or Friday afternoon or whatever. You are at the Sequential Artists Workshop, the We Believe in Comics series of workshops. We are 501c3 nonprofit. We have online courses at sawcomics.org, and you can find out about them by going there. You'll find out about Yasmin Abedafard's new course in July. Rob Clow's course in July is all about starting with your project and getting it pitched to publishers, all the steps in just 4 weeks of figuring out story structure to figuring out a workflow to sort of getting in front of people, and also visual journaling with Maureen Burdock. All of those start in early first week of July, I think. And weirdly, I think they're all Tuesdays. Anyway, there's Yasmin's promo. There's Rob's promo. Graphic Medicine Summit is coming. It's July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it's about a month away. And it's a series of workshops and a series of panel discussions and comics readings. And it's all happening online. There's no official graphic medicine conference this summer. So we filled in the void with a 3-day Zoom summit. And you can find out more at sawcomics.org. Also, I'll put that in the chat. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a little info about it. Thank you. If you donated to tonight or any other time, it helps keep Friday nights free for y'all. It also helps us pay the instructors, and it helps us do a bunch of other things that we help that we give scholarships to and all sorts of crazy things. So it really, really matters. Thanks for donating. Okay, let's get started. No inappropriate speech or imagery, please. We like to keep it PG-13 when we're sharing. No trolling or hate speech. We don't ever see that anymore. Just that once. If you want to share tonight on social media, we use the hashtag Friday Night Comics. You can also tag us at Comics Workshop. You can tag Sarah at Maloney Doodles. I'll put that in the chat. And we are members.sawcomics.org, and you can join our sharing site with uh, maybe 1,000 people, maybe hundreds, all sharing as well. And let's keep an eye on the time. We like to make these 90 minutes and no longer. That helps us respect the time of the instructors and everybody else. And there'll be lots of ways to share if you sense we're getting long and we can't make it to you. You can share in our weekly PDFs. There'll be a chat in the link. There'll be a link in the chat for that. And we put those together every week. You go to seesawcomics.org and check those out. And they look like that. Blah, blah, blah. They're really fun. Okay, enjoy. Here we are with Nature Comics. That's a new song, Sarah. That's a second song. They
The
could weave
remix.
together. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing. Yay, Sarah Maloney is here again. I'm really happy that Sarah's here again. And I am really excited for nature stuff, anything naturey. So, Sarah, I'm just going to hand it over to you. I'm going to spotlight you, which will make you really big on your own screen. And I'm here. I'm going to summarize things in the chat, and anything else you need from me, just holler.
Okay, thank you. That
All
sounds
right.
great.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Some of you, I see some familiar faces, which is nice. And tonight I'm so excited because it's my two favorite things together, nature and comics. So we're gonna make some comics together. I hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions or anything, always chime in, please. Or if I'm not clear, I'm happy to clarify. Cool. So, what we're going to do first is just a 5-minute free write to help you get some ideas flowing. And the prompt is
Mm.
write about a time you were uncomfortable in nature.
Whoa.
If you come up with multiple ideas, that's great. If you think of one thing and then you can't write anymore for whatever reason, you can doodle, you can scribble. Just try to keep your pen or pencil moving, whatever you're writing, drawing with. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. I wrote that in the chat too. Are you gonna do the time or do you want me to?
I have a timer, I can do it.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Ready,
This is
set,
a-
go.
this
Five.
is an unexpected one. Uncomfortable in nature.
Yes. Sometimes unpleasant things are more interesting as stories.
Hmm.
Like,
but I want to be like a grizzly man. I'm never uncomfortable in nature. Nature loves me. Okay, I'll shut up. Um, how are we doing on time, Sarah?
2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay,
I can give a 1 minute warning and then like a 15-second warning.
okay.
1 more minute. Start to wrap up the story or moment. 15 more seconds. Okay, that's time. Good job, everyone.
Good job.
I hope it wasn't too traumatizing or terrible to remember whatever embarrassment or pain happened. I also participated, so We'll see if I can get a comic out at the end. All right, so now put that aside. We'll work with that later when we work on our comic towards the end. But next, I want to introduce myself, some of my comics, and then I design like a little mini lecture about texture in comics in regards to nature, like how we draw nature, how different cartoonists draw nature. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this is us. I think Tom already went over that. Yeah, I go by Sarah or Maloney. For whatever reason, different people call me different by my first or last name. And I'm a queer cartoonist and educator. I make a lot of sci-fi comics, sometimes memoir, even though it scares me. And I really love making nature comics. Yeah. And you'll in all of my stories, fiction or nonfiction, I always try to include animals, often pigeons. I grew up in a city, so yeah. This is just like one of my sci-fi comics and how I incorporate nature. I'll just like draw things at different sizes or like when I'm on walks, sort of make note or take pictures of things I like. And then I'll use those as like reference photos or inspiration for like alien worlds. And have a lot of fun with that. And this is just more of that world. And then this would be some of my work from my queer ecology zines. Like I said, I love pigeons. So this is fun because I research and then I synthesize all the information and summarize like what about these animals I profile are queer and a little bit about them. Sometimes I also like doing abstract work, so I incorporate nature with that. This is a print. And this was just going to a drawing night. I think there was a prompt or something, and this is what came of it. So you can get ideas from so many different places.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And then this is just how I said like all my work sort of recently. This is my recent work. If you ever see it in a shop or something, you can take a look. Cool. All right, so that was a little bit about my work. And now we'll talk about nature comics. This is actually from another, I don't know if you remember Tom, like a Friday night workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, about I think information comics or something. And this is just like a tornado. And I chose this example because it's really fun to anthropomorphize parts of nature or topics that you're talking about. Because comics, you can you can make characters out of anything, and I encourage that. Even if you're talking, especially when you're talking about something very dry, it can be very a good learning tool. And then this is one of my favorite manga artists, Mizuki, who will draw beautiful, like tons of like detail lines, all the landscapes and environment, but then the characters, very cartoony and sort of silly looking. And I love the contrast that this artist does, really emphasizing nature in that way. And it's really fun. This is another favorite artist, Jesse Jacobs. He includes a lot of nature and natural environments in his comics, but he sort of like plays with it, makes it surreal. We have like these characters in the jungle, but actually they're on some alien planet that's a face. And so I thought that was a fun example.
Wow.
And then this is another favorite, Canopy. It's more of like an emotion. It uses natural landscapes, but they're more abstract, like this emotional environment. But this character, one of them is a flower, like a sunflower. He's a toxic boyfriend, so we shouldn't like him, even though he looks very personable. Yeah. And so here's another, yeah, this is a great example. You want to talk about maybe emotions or something you've been through using nature as like metaphor and symbolism. Yeah. All right, so those are some of my favorite examples. I hope maybe you go read them. And now we're going to talk about like drawing nature like a cartoonist. And when I think about that, I think about texture. That's like what's on top of my mind. And so I'm like, well, how does a cartoonist draw like grass or water or outer space? Like all these things that we're so familiar with. And I think our mark making and our textures is really shine. So the ocean, we're all probably familiar with it, whether we've been to it or not. How do you draw it? So many different ways. I chose the Tamaki cousins work together a lot, and I really loved in this graphic novel, how they drew water. And like even at the bottom right panel, one of the
Mm.
characters is breaking the surface of water, and it's just a simple line. Or we look up close and the like surface of the water is all these thick brush-like textures. And it's just you can get really abstract and people sort of still know it's the ocean or the water. Another thing that's very common in our lives, or at least most of us, would be rain. Cartoonists, there's so many different ways to draw rain. Here's Alan Moore. Uh, I guess he's not sorry, he's the writer, I did illustrator. But this
Dave
illustrator,
Gibbons.
the way, Hmm?
Dave Gibbons.
Thank you, that's right. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. How Dave Gibbons draws water is super cool. And again, abstract, right? These
Oh, that
circle
might,
rings.
that might be Brian Boland, actually. Sorry. For the
Oh.
geeks out there, especially Walter, will tell me I got it wrong. I think, sorry.
Oh, that's great. I'll look in the chat later and
Right.
then I'll know. And then on the 9 panel grid on the right, rain is drawn a few different ways, sort of like this sketchy lines, and then on the ground, these ringed ripples. And it's really beautiful. And then this is Eleanor Davis just using straight, simple lines, but we read it as rain. And also everyone's like wet hair sort of drooping on their face. That's another clue.
Mhm.
Grass. I think probably everyone has touched grass, I would hope. Or seen it. This is another, I really love this manga artist, Tezuka. And he draws environments so many different ways. Even on one page, you can see grass is like thick and like blade-like, and it's moving with the wind and the running. Or on the right page, it's more still and short, these little small lines together. Yeah, so I thought that was a nice example, thinking about texture. It's just closer up. And also how we draw can the texture of the nature in comics can give like a page sort of a tone or a personality, right? Like these cute little animals, the grass looks sort of soft and calm, like no wind, and it just looks very friendly.
Mhm.
Whereas this one more action packed, like someone's on a horse fighting or hunting or something, right? And we have all this movement and that grass almost, it looks like it might hurt or something, like it's sharp,
Mhm.
like blades. So that's something to think about. Let's see, sand. Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of different kinds of sand, right? Not all sand is like this fine. Some are more pebble-like. Um, but I like this example from Dash Saw. He just does like little stippling, little lines, but a lot of empty space. Like he doesn't fill it up, but we know it. We read it as sand. So I think that's something to consider too. Is like what you leave out. This like the vacant spaces, sort of. You don't have to just fill it with stippling. That can be overwhelming texture. And then my favorite.
Wow.
How do you draw outer space? It's a vacuum, right? What is it? Um,
Yeah.
this is how I draw it. I just fill the space with stippling or dots. Um, I think it's probably a little overwhelming, or anxiety inducing, but I know I would be totally afraid in space. So that's what I'm thinking about is
Mhm.
sort of this, yeah, overwhelming, suffocating nothingness, but everythingness. Or if you know Jack Kirby, very famous Marvel illustrator, he has coined something called Kirby Crackle, and he uses it to draw space or just fill. He doesn't just use it for space, but I like this example. And it's coined Kirby Crackle because he fills a space with these sort of like he's drawn a whole bunch of little dots and then like filled it so it looks sort of crackly or bubbly. And outer space, we look up, it isn't all these colors and movement, but we still can identify it as space. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun to say Kirby Crackle.
Oh, Jen in the
Yes.
chat says her friend's band is called Kirby Crackle, and they didn't know what it meant. Oh, that's hilarious.
That's really
Wow.
funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you look up Kirby Crackle, Jack Kirby, you'll see tons of it. It's all over his art. You'll see it once you know it, you'll just see it everywhere.
It's funny.
All right. Hopefully I didn't go too fast or too slow, and we got to this point
Mhm.
where I now want us to use a little bit of inspiration from the lecture and then our writing prompt, the free write. And we're gonna make a comic. It can be 4 to 5 panels. If you do 5 panels, I suggest doing like a setting panel, like since we're talking about nature and environment, where are we? Just show us. And then the rest of the panels, take a moment from the free write. You know, it doesn't have to be the whole story, but a moment from the free write when you were uncomfortable in nature. So for example, I'll be vulnerable. The thing I wrote about was when I was pretty young, like I think 6 or something. I was walking in a forest with my family, with my cousin who I really looked up to, and we were really far in, and I had to poop. And I was very, I was scared because I didn't want my cousin to know that I had to poop, and I didn't feel comfortable like going out in the wilderness. But I ended up my parents made me go off into the forest. And so I was very uncomfortable. No, I think in the end I didn't, and so that's good for the environment. But that would be my moment. Probably me with like my bare buns around a bunch of ferns is like what I'll probably end up drawing. Yeah,
How
and
bad is human poop for the environment? A little kid poop can't be that bad.
I know us, but
Better than holding it in, I think, if you're 6.
yeah, that's that's why they sent me off. I don't know. Maybe someone who knows better can tell us why it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least we weren't camping, so the bears or things wouldn't come get us. So yeah, be vulnerable, uh, and make your comic, and then I encourage you to use at least one cartoony texture from the lecture. Um, right, so you don't have to actually draw every single grain of sand, but how can you represent it? Or bushes. You don't have to draw every single leaf, but how do you represent a bush as a cartoonist?
Wow. And you're suggesting if we do 5 panels, make one a setting, make one
Mhm.
a, yeah. And in the chat, poop is getting a lot of love. It sounds like there are a lot of similar similar stories.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that.
We do not.
I'm glad this is now recorded.
So, do you want to give us a time per panel, or what do you think?
Let's see here, check the time. I would think originally I had 30 minutes set aside for the comic. I'm not sure where we're at now, so I think like 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes per panel.
Okay.
Mhm. What do you think, Tom?
Something like that. I bet if we check in with people in 20 minutes, which is sort of 4 panels at 5 minutes, I think some will be ready to share and then others will still be working.
That sounds good.
You want to set a timer for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And maybe tell us every 5 minutes when it's passed?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool. Are you going to draw?
I am going to try to draw. I often don't finish when I host these things because I'm a little distracted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to try. I'll share whatever I finish. All right.
All right. Does everybody understand? It's in the chat. Um, let's see. Gail wants to know uh, if we can have a prompt for some of the panels, if they,
Oh, yeah.
what do you
Um,
think?
sure. I mean, so choosing a moment from the free write, that's start with setting. Where are you? Panel one, I would probably show the character. So yourself or someone else in this story. And I would dive in pretty quickly to like what is why they're uncomfortable or in distress in the second panel. And then third and fourth, maybe like a punchline, or you're finding a way to end that moment. How does it end? Maybe there's not resolution, but people's like maybe your reaction to the uncomfortableness, what happens next? Does that sound?
Yeah, I'm trying to type that into the chat.
Hmm.
Uh, so here's what I'm writing. Let's see. Well, we're sort of calling the setting panel like panel zero.
Hmm. Sure, that works.
All right. So there's panel zero, which is a setting, and then panel one, you show yourself or the character. Panel two, why are they in distress? Panel three and four is a reaction to the uncomfortableness or distress and
Hmm.
some sort of resolution if there is one.
Hmm.
Com and the only thing keeping me from posting this is getting uncomfortable spelled right. Comfortable. There we go. Okay. And you can check and see if that works in the chat. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you for transcribing all that.
Yeah, without AI. Without
Yes.
AI, although AI is really good at transcribing, I have it on my phone and I'm pretty into it. Well, it's not AI, it's just well, whatever. All right, we don't have to keep talking about it.
All right. Cool. So yeah, if you want, you can use that sort of script structure, but it's up to
Yeah.
you. Yeah. I'm excited to see these, read these.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have I never thought of poop. I only thought of cold and wet. So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense too. All right,
yeah,
I'll start the 20 minutes.
sure. And I've never been like under a serious amount of threat in nature. Like I thought like did I ever see anything poisonous or with big teeth or anything?
No, that's true. Yeah, hopefully. That's why I said uncomfortable, not danger. I didn't want to be too too intense of a story. But that's also okay. That's what you have.
All right. Um, okay. You know what nature thing I saw yesterday, Sarah?
What was that?
There's this there's been this road closure in my part of town, my part of the world. Um, this bridge that is a problem, so they closed some of like the on-ramps and stuff. And I drove by one the other day and I realized like, oh, it's been closed for so long. Nature's kind of taken over. So there are all these plants coming out of the tar. And because
Well,
nobody's driven on this like little off ramp in a year or two. So slowly nature's taken over this little highway section. I was very
oh,
happy for
that makes me really happy.
that. I don't know if I'll draw that. Tomorrow I'll draw that.
That's a good one. When this when does ma nature fight back?
Yeah, when does nature fight back? I like that. Oops. I would definitely watch that reality show, Nature Fights Back.
You could start with was it the what kind of whale was like sinking the yachts?
Oh,
Was it orca? No.
yeah, no, I don't know. I only heard parts of that story. Somebody will put it in the chat. Orcas, Paula says, yeah.
I think orca.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if animals are out there making comics about when they were uncomfortable in nature. It'd be really like,
Oh no. It yeah, that we probably they'd have a lot of material.
yeah, it'd be all about us, you know?
We have or we finished the first 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Good. Eli says the orcas were teaching their offspring to do it too. Wow.
Nice.
Maybe somebody needs to post a link to that.
Oh yeah. Good for them.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, I haven't drawn anything yet. What's my problem? Wait, oh, sorry. It's on my clipboard.
You got this.
Thanks.
I'm drawing my bowl cut from when I was a kid.
Oh,
Very flattering.
I gotta learn how to draw rivers. I keep getting it wrong.
Ooh, that sounds tough. I didn't go over that one.
No.
Just go.
Otherwise, I'd be in better shape right now.
Oops.
That's all right. And the Tamaki cousins, it's Jillian and Mariko. Is that the other one? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
can remember the writer.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, they're amazing.
I know. And which Mizuki book was that?
Oh yeah, that was is it Tono Monaga? What is it right in front of me? I think it's Tono Monogatari, which is about the yokai, like Japanese like spirits and like some folklore and they're all the short stories.
Oh,
I think
and
it's yeah.
it's not, so it's not Kitaro.
No. Or no, no, no. I also like that one. Okay. Well, now I'm reading.
Yeah, you're supposed to be drawing, Sarah. Oops.
So we're at the 10 minutes, halfway through.
Mhm.
We're on our last 5 minutes. 2.5 minutes.
How you doing on yours, Sarah?
Almost done, except for the panel one.
Except your big fancy setting.
No, I did sort of did setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just reading your comic about pigeons. I didn't know pigeons came over from European colonizers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that and that the buildings that we erect in the cities are like the sea cliff walls and things.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. They, yeah, no, they do pretty well for themselves here. But it is, I don't know, I like the thinking about pigeons and how they became like undomesticated, like feral again. I like thinking it makes me sad that like we formed relationships, bonds with them, and then now they're just sort of part of the background for many people. That makes me sad. Not for everyone, but I think they're
Yeah.
pretty social. They seem.
So you mean there's a potential friendship we're missing out on?
Yes, definitely.
Um,
Go
huh.
into pigeon.
It's true. I don't know anybody with a pet pigeon.
I see it in like TikTok videos
Really?
stuff. People like, yeah. Um, but I don't know who. I feel like a lot of them are in maybe New York or something. But I don't know any of these people in real life.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they also delivered a lot of messages and things, and I don't know if it was World War One and Two, but unfortunately, they were used in the military. Let's see
Sarah says Gabrielle Bell had a comic about bonding with a pigeon. That sounds like
here.
Gabrielle. I don't know that one.
Oh, 5 seconds.
Oh boy. And Walter says passenger pigeons were native to North America. Are those the same things as the ones that
Uh,
carried messages? I don't know. We could look more into this. But meanwhile, people are already raising their Zoom hands to show.
oh, amazing.
I need to finish mine really fast, and then I can start spotlighting other people.
Oh yeah, I see all the hands popping up.
Yeah, they're popping up. Okay. Should we take a look? Sarah,
Yeah.
oops.
Oh,
Somebody's
sorry.
already
Yeah.
started sharing screening. Let's
Stop.
see if we can turn that off.
There you go.
Um, Great. Yeah, we have a bunch of people ready. We'll start with Bill. We'll go to Hewitt, Walter, David, Paula, Alan, Casey. Yeah, a bunch ready. We'll start with Bill. Bill, if you're ready, come on. Then we'll go to Hewitt. Here we go.
Okay, I didn't expect to be first.
Uh,
I'm slow, which is why the first time I did this, I didn't even try anything until I saw that nobody else was doing anything fancy either, except for a few people. All I had time for were pencils. My only setting was
Might be.
to write a paragraph. It says, when I was 3 or 4, my dad wanted to take time out to think quietly about what to do next for work. So he and his dad went fishing, which is mostly sitting very quietly and thinking, in Quebec, and they took me along. And it's a picture of me. I don't remember a plane, so I guess we drove, and I know it was fun for me. One of my strongest memories, which are all very blurry, was playing a pinball game with pinballs that were about 2 inches or 3 inches around and bright green. And I probably played very badly, but didn't know. And they were putting quarters in the machine. Even the waitress was putting quarters in the machine for me, and I was having a great time. I can't really remember really being ever uncomfortable in nature, but we did get rained on heavily one time. And even though we were wearing life jackets, Dad and Granddad pulled the boat up onto the shore, and we got under ponchos. Mine was gigantic on me, and we just sat there. And I think it was more boring and just being stuck there than uncomfortable. But I also want to bring up one more little thing. My house is a mess. This little thing was stuck on my foot. It is 10, maybe these days 25 cents to get some amazing art the people who play the game do not value. These things are treated like trash, and they are wonderful. They're called land cards in Magic the Gathering, and you can go into any gaming store and there will be a box of these, and you can just go through, pick the ones out that you like, and pay a tiny, ridiculously small amount of money to collect some art.
Nice. Thanks, Bill.
Mhm.
You're
Bored
welcome.
in nature. That's another good subtopic, right, Sarah?
For sure. That's boredom is uncomfortable sometimes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Hewitt next. Here we go. And then Walter.
Okay. So I went for, sort of small uncomfort that just came first to mind is sort of like my first experience with burrs, the plants that stick to your clothes and all that.
Hmm.
And and so I just did, a short little thing. I did like a little scenery thing. You can see that I get sloppier as the timer goes down. I get panicked. But but yeah, so I just have it's reversed for me, so this is weird, but yeah, I'm noticing it, and then I find them just sort of a little goblin kind of pose, and then I try to shake them
Nice.
off.
I love it.
Yeah, nice and simple.
Thank you.
Really great textures in that, Sarah. That reminded me of the grass that you showed in that Tezuka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to Walter next.
Hi, thanks, Sarah. I love hearing your stuff. This is really fun. I'll just let you guys read this, or I'll read it out loud as I go panel by panel. It's a walk in the park. That's me, and that's not Coco, that's somebody else. I'm glad it stopped raining. This park has nice trails. It's a little muddy. You think? Well, another fine mess. I think I see a dry spot. That's only slightly exaggerated from a real walk I took.
Seems like you're getting into almost like over your ankle high mud.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Walter.
Thank you.
We'll go to David next. Let's see if there's
Yeah, we have a house in the woods, Mendocino, California, where it's a lot of redwoods. And so I thought, well, when we go for a walk in the woods, I guess my focus, what do I got to do here? Let's see.
under video settings. Usually it says you got a blur on is what usually happens.
Video. Let's see the blur off. Well, anyway, I can still give you the idea. So I go for a walk in the woods, but there's scary trees in the woods. And I wonder, what if I fall? If I fall in the woods, nobody will know I've fallen.
Nice.
Like a tree falling in the woods.
I like it. That's funny.
It's a good joke. All right. Thanks, David. We'll go to Paola next. Here we go.
Okay. Can I share the screen, please, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Hang on a second.
Thank you.
There you go. You should be able to see now.
And like I said, I do apologize. You started talking about pooping in the woods, and that was totally my thing.
Yep.
So hopefully it's apparent. When I was a teen, I was part of like a take low income students who been in the city and are Hispanic and people of color who've never been into the camping, take them camping, and I was not having a good time. I really needed to poop. I was stuck there with other city teens, and I was too scared of bears and the other teens and poison ivy and mosquitoes. So I decided to just make the last panel like really ridiculous, which is just, I became really constipated. So I thought, let me reframe it. And instead I became one with the poop, and I became the constipated one. And that's it.
That's hilarious.
One with the poop. Oh my gosh. All right. We'll go to Alan now.
Yeah, I'd also like to share my screen if you don't mind.
Okay.
And I am still not at home, so I'm still struggling to draw on a laptop with with software I'm not used to and with a cheap tablet, but I managed to get something done. So again, the art is very rough, but whoops, there we go. Is it showing up? You seeing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So I had a hard time thinking of time was uncomfortable in nature, but I guess this sort of qualifies. So I work on film sets, and while a lot of my work takes place in interior sets, sometimes I work on projects that are filming outdoors in nature. The first panel actually in a project that filmed up in the Redwoods a couple years ago. But a lot of projects take place in the California desert. It's relatively close to Los Angeles, and I assume the permit fees, if any, are cheap. The desert can be very scenic, and while it can get hot, it's not too bad if you have shade and water. As long as, of course, as you're not downwind of a truck careening around and kicking up tons of dust. That was probably one of my most uncomfortable experiences. That was not fun. So anyway, that's sorry again for the rough art. I'll be back home next week and access to my usual tools, but
I love it.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that style, Alan. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll go to Casey next. Casey's ready.
One sec, let me unmute the thing. Not unmute. Start the camera. Hi, one sec. Can I share screen?
Yeah. I'll set. Yep, there you go.
Okay. Oh yeah, sure. So, the first thing I'm going to say here, I so amazingly didn't pay attention because I spaced out while we were talking about the textures. And so I couldn't include the textures. I'm just going to tell you that. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so I'm going to start on the first page. Once upon a time, this kid, aka me, went backpacking. I forgot to color in the sun, but it was supposed to be like, die. I was 8 years old, and I'm saying, I'm dying. Now this kid, aka me, has anxiety and insomnia, as portrayed by this beautiful thing. At the time, I was scared of bears, and I usually slept with my mom, but my mom wasn't there because my mom's ex was taking me. So here I am, all alone in my tent, left to worry about bears trashing my tent. Oh, and me. Let's not forget about me. I also hate makeshift bathrooms, as you can see by this other lovely portrayal with the porta potty. Once upon a time, I actually refused to go to one when we were sledding because, like, for some reason, I was afraid I would fall down. But also, I needed the bathroom. So here I am, peeking out of my tent. And so here I was, stuck to go into the dark, filled with hypothetical bears. Delightful, am I right? And as you can see, the bears are right here. That is about it, because I was only allowed 5 panels.
They're always suggestions, but yes, this is awesome.
Oh yeah,
Well
Casey,
done.
that's awesome. Thank you so much. And definitely
Thank
share
you.
in our PDF too, if you can. All right, we'll go to Eric next.
RK.
And I'm gonna, yeah, there we go. Here we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Eric.
Okay, so I recently went camping by myself for the first time, and it was very hot. I was in Oregon, and it was sweating, hiking up the trail. Nice trail with some trees and stuff, the sun shining down. Oh, but then my foot sank into a pile of snow, and the trail started having more and more snow on it. And when I got to my destination, the lake was mostly frozen, and there was a lot of snow, and it was just very, very cold that night. So
Man.
it was a little bit of an uncomfortable night with no sleep, but it was still beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, those uncomfortable nights with no sleep. I know that. We'll go to Julia next, and then after that, we'll go to Laura.
Okay. This was fun, and I love how so many of us had poop stories. And then also, I would love how I'm not the only one with hating the heat. Wait, I've got a really quick. Let's make that red. Okay, there we go. So that's Joshua Tree, and it's very, very hot, and I hate that. And you know that there's a period of time where everybody has to go find shade and there's very little shade, which was very unpleasant. And everybody kept saying, "Watch out for the rattlesnakes," but then I fell at Joshua Tree, and I survived, but I was really mad because it destroyed my my favorite shorts.
Oh no. Thank you. That's the
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. Okay, we'll go to Laura in Philadelphia.
Hi there. First, I am going to read what I wrote during the writing part. Dirty secret. I'm nearly always uncomfortable in nature. It's dark. It's too hot. There's spiders, creeps. There are no museums or libraries in nature. It's inherently unpredictable. I could get lost or stuck like I did near the end of a 7-mile hike, clinging to a boulder, not looking up, down, or around, wondering whether a helicopter rescue was feasible. So here I am on the Skyline Trail, and here I am clinging to the aforementioned boulder. And when I got to the end, what this sign said is that this trail was the most difficult trail, recommended for experienced hikers only. And that was not me. I was not an experienced hiker. And but I did make it to the top. I got off the boulder somehow, and I made it to the top, and I got to see the spectacular view on Hawk Mountain.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I find that sometimes my best nature moments though, I'm most uncomfortable, but they're also spectacular.
It's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
This was
Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll go to Eli next.
I
Hi, Eli.
I work outside all the time, so I'm always uncomfortable in nature. But I'm used to it now. I spent most of my time drawing the beginning of my comic, which was beautiful Half Dome in Yosemite Valley, and I'm following up on a comic I did a few weeks ago. And one of the people, I think her name was Nikki, requested more poop details from my situation. So I thought I would go ahead and do that. So I get sick at higher elevations, and the night before we were supposed to do this 16-mile round trip hike up a mountain. I couldn't sleep, and I had the shits all night. And so I just spent the whole night in oh, I'm not supposed to, it's supposed to be PG, sorry. I had the runs all night. And I just spent it in this really gross campground bathroom, and just I was just like sleeping against the wall and just like sitting
Oh.
well all night. And then you have to leave at 4 because you have to get up to the top before the thunderstorms happen because there's no cover, and you have to like get up and then go back down again.
Wow.
So I went up a 16-mile round trip hike where we went up like 4,000 feet.
Wow.
And it took from 4 in the morning. I think we got home at 8 at night. And so for the first half of the journey, I had to keep running off into the bushes like every 15 minutes to take care of business. So here's some incidents of me behind a rock and
Oh.
my little butt hanging out behind a tree. And then we finally found an outhouse, and it was locked, and I couldn't get in. So I was like pulling it, oh, please no. And then finally, my grand finale was we were in this big open valley, and there was this trail going through a campground, and I just could not make it to the bathroom. And I just had to run through the grass to the edge of the mountain, and just like in full sight, making full eye contact, everyone walking by, just drop my pants and
Yeah.
let her go. So like I said, I spent most of my time drawing this, and then I realized I had some technical problems with trying to draw. It's hard to draw pooping, turns out.
It's a weird like figure drawing test, right?
So anyway, thank you very much for listening to my poop story.
Of course. Thank you for sharing.
And it's a good reminder, everybody share in social media, or oh, Jen's already gone into stealth mode. Share on social media or in our PDF. Jen, you're ready.
I'm here. I'm coming. How do I do? Okay,
Jen.
screen mirroring. Ah, I'm not a pro at this yet. Just sharing the iPad thing. Okay, here we go. Screen mirroring. Come on, buddy. Come on, you can do it. Nothing is happening when I hit the screen mirroring. All right, hold on. Just one. I always feel so impatient when this happens to everybody else, and then it's happening to me.
Not that much time passing. Just don't,
Okay, cool. It feels like it for sure. All right. It turns out I was not on my Wi-Fi, but now I am. Try the screen mirroring one more time. Come on, buddy. Okay, here it is.
Is it?
It's coming. No? Did you see it briefly?
Nope.
Oh.
Sometimes you can just hold an iPad up to your computer
Well,
camera.
now do you see it?
Nope.
What? All right, I'll just hold the iPad up. Sorry.
That's okay.
So disappointing. Okay. You saw I even tried to practice early. All right. Anyway, so here's the top little scene here. This was a wedding in the woods outside of Eugene, Oregon. Huge property, and they sort of trimmed the grass so everybody could camp there, and they had twinkly lights everywhere. Here's me in my tent, like, I gotta go. You started it, Sarah. So
Oh no, no.
Yep. And then I was trying to show it an urgent walk. And then you know what's happening here. And notice what is underneath me, which unbeknownst to
Oh
me
no.
turned out to be stinging nettle. That is the worst place to get stinging nettle, I discovered.
I'm so that happened.
Anyway, thank you. This was really fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, we'll go to Alice next, and then after that, Catherine, Judith, Emmanuel.
Oops.
We can hear you.
Okay, I can't find you anymore. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see and hear you, but if you can see and hear me, that's fine. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay, this is when I went camping in Anza Borrego, and I am not an outdoor person at all, but my boyfriend talked me into going, and in the middle of the night, of course, we're remote camping and I have to go poop. So I sneak out of the tent and pull my pants down, and then the next thing I see is a pack of coyotes walking by me, and I didn't even know what to do. So I just sat there, and eventually the last of the 5 or 6 coyotes walked by me, and I was okay.
Oh wow, that's really fast. That's a great one. Thank you. I like the colors you chose too.
Thanks.
Really nice. Thanks, Alice. We'll go to Catherine next. This looks like we might have 2 people here.
I
I'm
found
Kai,
you.
and this is Catherine.
Hi.
My comic starts out in the woods, and I am walking in my cute shoes, and I see a puddle. So I start sweating. I don't know if you can tell I'm sweating. And I say, fuck. What did I say? Fuck, this puddle, my shoes. And then I try to jump over the puddle, and instead I get my shoes wet. And it says, better luck next time.
Oh, I like that.
All right, Kai is empowering me to go. So I grew up in Washington States, and my family spent a lot of time outdoors. And so the first panel is it says, my family spent a lot of time outdoors. There were many mandatory family bonding camping trips. And then this is some tents, and my sisters and I are in this one, and my sister is saying, I bet $5 dad will freak out about something, because we had a lot of trips go awry, and my dad actually, for being very outdoorsy, but does not handle stress very well in nature. So the next panel is us sitting around a campfire, and my dad has brownie mix, and he's pouring it and some eggs into a pan, and we're cooking it over the fire. And then the next panel is that's me, and I'm puking outside my tent because essentially we just ended up eating raw batter. Then for folks that know Washington State, parts of it can get extremely windy, and this is so we had driven our boat to this like bay where there's actually it's glacier water, so it's really cold. Anyway, and it was extremely windy, and my dad had come out to check on me, and then all of a sudden his tent was blowing in the wind. And so that's him saying a string of swear words. And then the last panel, which I did very rushed, is the boat, which had been very haphazardly sort of stuck in, put a stake into the sand, and then the wind picked it up, the stake up, and then the boat starts floating away. And that's where I ended it.
Show it again so people can see.
Nice.
Yeah.
A series of very unfortunate events. Thank you.
Thanks. Always nice to have a duo. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Judith next.
Hi, I might be interrupted, but last week I wasn't able to be here. So I actually couldn't think of a time when I was uncomfortable in nature, and I really lived in nature a lot. I never really went to the top of a very high mountain or down into, I didn't do anything too dangerous. So I showed this. I lived near a river in Oregon. It was in Tequila, Oregon. I did the Josephine River. And one night I was deciding whether I would leave my husband or not. So it says, I am here with a big decision to make. Should I stay married or not? And the big thing in the middle, it says, do I still love him? Yes, but we outgrew each other. And then what do I say here? The mood is calm, but I am not. And then it says, nature is a comfort. My own life and anxiety is uncomfortable. So I stayed up all night looking at the moon and made my decision.
Thank you. No, you totally followed the assignment because I didn't say that nature made you uncomfortable.
Well, it was me that was uncomfortable. Nature was fine.
Exactly. Oh, thank you.
Really amazing. Thanks, Judith. Okay, Emmanuel is next. Let's see. Oops, I think I accidentally muted. You have to unmute again. There we go.
Hello, everyone. Let me try and share my screen. I'm also not very.
Okay, hang on, I'll change that setting. There you go. You should be able to.
Okay, I should be sharing now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I wrote, there's certain rules people know when they go on trips. However, and maybe because it's on restroom rules. One morning, I felt like going to the restroom at the beginning of the trip, but ignored the feeling. Bad idea. 2 hours later, I couldn't hold it in. My body was going to explode, but being in a group, one can't just trail off. After hours of misery and feeling that my intestines would never be the same, we reached a restroom where my pain could finally end. I learned to always use the available restroom when you need to. Always.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, continuing a trend.
I had no idea. But I love it. It's funny.
All right, we'll go to Allison next, and then there we go.
Hi. Alrighty. So my story does not does not deal with going to the bathroom in the wilderness. It deals with something more suburban, which I like to call the Great Raccoon Water Bottle Heist. As you can see, here's our yard. I tried to follow the prompt up for this, the main prompt for this, which is to use one of the styles that was described in the presentation. So I tried to do some stippling type grass that the raccoons are hiding in. When we go to this panel, we're inside, I'm asleep, sort of, because I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm hearing these strange sounds from outside, but I am too tired to get up and investigate. But then the next day, a flat of water that I purchased, the plastic has been torn, the water bottles are scattered everywhere, there's water spilling all over the patio. And I cry out, my water! What could have happened? There are teeth marks and paw prints? The raccoons in the backyard have stolen my water. And as frustrated and uncomfortable as this made me, I just went to Trader Joe's and got a new flat of water because what else can you do? And I guess they needed it more than I did. The end.
Thank you.
Oh man, raccoons, they'll just do anything. Anyway, thanks. All right, we'll go to Andrea next, and then Gail, and then Michaela and Hillary.
Okay. All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is yet another frenzied pencil drawing special here. So I'm hoping that you can see it. All right, so the first months in our new home were the summer of the spongy moth caterpillar. One night in line at the ice cream stand with my son. So I say, so Eli, have you seen these caterpillars? And Eli said, yeah, they're all over the field where we practice. And then I am saying, yeah, I've looked them up online. They seem kind of cute. And then here's the picture I saw online with the tiny panda face and the polka dot and the fuzzies. And he says, cute? No, Mom, no. They fall off the trees, go down your shirt, and they itch. And then this side, oh, come on, they're just caterpillars. And then he says, Mom, have you even, oh, look. And then I say, what? And then he says, and then I feel on my forehead a little tickle, tickle, tickle. And he says, over here. And like puts his hand right up in my face and goes, flick. And I go, yeah!
Thank you. Oh, that's exciting. That was an exciting one.
Well, sorry it was so hastily drawn and messy.
No, love the cartooning that last panel. Thanks, Andrew. We'll go to Gail next.
Okay, I am going to start with what my part of my free write, because I want to declare solidarity with Laura in Philadelphia. Blah blah blah. Always. Okay, sorry. Prompt. Write about a time when you are uncomfortable in nature. My answer is always. Whenever I'm in nature, I'm uncomfortable. It's too hot or too cold. Squirrels are too close. Birds are too close. It's too wet. Pretty much whenever I'm in nature, I'd rather be either inside or in a man-made environment. Okay, and so my drawing is of a situation that has happened more than once, but this happened to have occurred last summer when I was at the Botanical Gardens nearby in the Bronx. And the squirrels in the Botanical Gardens are very used to humans. So they're not afraid of humans. They come right up to. So here I am sitting on the bench eating my sandwich, and the squirrel gets dangerously close to me and my sandwich. So I have to shoo him away. And then he does this funny thing, which squirrels do. Maybe some of you have seen this. When it's very hot out, they do this weird thing with their bodies where they just sort of ploop down on the gravel because it's the coolest place that they can find. So it's just like
Oh,
a flattened squirrel on the gravel of the sidewalk in the Botanical Gardens.
oh, he was uncomfortable too.
Thank you.
Thanks,
This was a
Gail.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, we've got Michaela, Hillary, and Edgar.
Okay, I have a comic without words. It's from it's when I went to this festival with a friend of mine, and then we slept in a tent afterwards. And the tent was overrun by Daddy Longlegs in the morning when we woke up. So I tried to go with the texture, and I tried to do the Daddy Longlegs, as many of them with legs as possible. So that was the outlook we had in the morning, and then that's us. And this is the abandoned tent in the woods. We never, it's probably still there, you know. That was 1980, if you can believe that, and I still remember that. I've never, and the weird thing is, I present this as kind of freaked out, and of course we were, but I think we did the adult thing and abandoned everything and got the hell out of there without really too much panic, you know. Just survival, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks. This was great. This is a fun occasion to remember this
Aw.
tomorrow.
I'm glad. A lot of daddy long legs.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And they're like in here, they're like when we came at night, you know, they already starting to creep on the tent, but of course we didn't notice that. Thank you.
Thanks, Michaela. I like that the tent is probably still there 40 years later.
I think so.
All right, we'll go to Hillary next, if Hillary is ready.
Hi, thank you for this. I really enjoy seeing what everyone does. It's really fantastic. Okay, so I went back to camping. Well, I'm just going to give this a shot. Camping with some friends, early days, having a good time in the woods. My drawing isn't showing so good, but that's okay. So anyhow, there was drinking involved, definitely drinking involved. Marshmallows, toasty marshmallows, really enjoying it, having a good time in the woods. But then I got bonked in the nose with a flaming marshmallow.
Oh no.
And I got bonked. The nose survived, it recovered, but I just always think about how much the fire must have enjoyed watching me get bonked in the nose. Those are the fire gremlins going, yay, we did something mischievous.
The fire gremlins.
Yeah, the fire gremlins were like, yep, we scored tonight. So
ow. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Hillary.
Thank you.
Welcome. We'll go to Edgar next. We've got time for 4 more, including Edgar. Here we go.
Hey, well, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Sarah, for the inspiration. I've mine is a let me flip a second. Mine is entitled "My Unpleasant Nature Walk with the Ballerina." We met at a National Gallery of Art Theater Sunday matinee featuring 2 Alfred Hitchcock silent films. What's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? Fortunately, she laughed, and we met the next week for a 3-hour lunch before she ran away because of smelling my overpowering testosterone from across the table. But she came back for a Saturday walk along the C&O Canal. Dancers have to move. We began in Georgetown. We began in Georgetown where you used to board a boat pulled by an actual mule led by a man. You can't do that anymore. The actual length of the canal is 180 miles, but we would cover about 10 miles at a time. Eventually, it would take longer to get to the next lock by car than it would take to walk it. And there we are walking along. There's the lock, lock number 6. She wore a lovely walking outfit so that she could bend and stretch and everything. And I would wear my coat and tie and regular black leather shoes, or as my father would call them, blucher style shoes. And then as we continued walking and getting closer, we began to find moments to hug and kiss as romantics are wont to do. As the seasons changed at dusk, mosquitoes and biting flies came out, making the walks much less enjoyable. And there we are batting away the little biting flies and mosquitoes. And she says, "This is miserable, Edgar." And I said, "Let's go get a glass of champagne at Old Angler's Inn." Perhaps the biting flies was a foreshadowing of red flags I should have paid attention to earlier. She had been a Balanchine ballerina, beautiful and sexy, and now a highly intelligent psychologist. But she got angry because she assumed I would buy her a condominium with a dance studio built in. This is goodbye. And as I greet the Saw folks tonight, she never even returned the Steranko History of Comics volume I loaned her. So anyway, that's my little story today on unpleasant nature.
Thank you.
Sure.
The mosquitoes are trying to smooch too.
Yes, that's right. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. I'll remember. I'll add that.
No, this is lovely.
Thanks, Edgar. Thanks.
Yeah,
Amazing. Another one for the vault. All right, we'll go to Caroline next. Thanks, Edgar. Wow.
Hello, everyone. My first time here. And
Welcome.
I moved from Gainesville. I used to be in Gainesville. Now I'm the Oregon coast. And my experience on the coast here is very different than Florida. So,
Oh, you got blur on. Can you change that in your video settings real fast? It's usually under.
Oh my God, oh my God. How do I do it? Oh, okay.
That did it.
There. Okay. So here's the setting, just kind of looking at the coast. And then this is supposed to be like a more romantic little, oh, okay, this is so nice being at the beach. But then the wind really picks up and just sand blasts in my face. This is my experience of being on the beach here and me running away from being at the beach. So I've really never enjoyed the beach here. I've only stayed like 5 minutes because just the wind and the sand, it's not very pleasant.
Yeah,
So
Oregon coast is much different than the Florida coast.
very, very different. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Caroline.
you.
Welcome. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
put that sharing info in the chat for y'all. We'll go to Sean next, if Sean is ready.
All right. Let me see if I can turn on the camera.
Yeah, we need to do that too.
There we go.
Hold on a second.
All right. So it's the first time I'm ever going to show somebody, but based on a true story, I'm going to go ahead and flip that camera. If I can try to flip it. So it's based on a campground. So we went, as a young person, I was camping. And there'll be occasions where there won't be a restroom. And so it's like I woke up one morning, it's like, no restroom stalls. And then I went to sit on a tree and pooped, and these birds were watching. And I said, go away, I'm not proud. And then I leave, and I still left it by the tree. And then two women goes, oh my God, what a disgusting person. And then I go, I will never mention this again.
But they did.
Never, but you did just now. So finally, it comes out.
An art farm.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Yeah,
We'll
welcome.
We'll finish up with Christian if Christian's ready. Thanks so much. Hi, Christian. Are you muted?
Hello.
Hello.
So basically what I hate is bugs. I hate bugs crawling on me.
Oh, look at them.
Yeah.
Insects, I hate bugs. It doesn't matter to me, like my fourth pile will be like the whole thing. It's just be like a decaying corpse.
I want to see that finished, Christian.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm going to go back to Sarah. We finished right on time. Sarah, thank you for this. I can't not comment on how many poop stories we got.
I did think that.
But I'll leave it at that. But we saw so much. Boy, I love nature, and I love drawing nature, and I love seeing so many great textures and different ways that people drew. Even the bugs that Christian just shared, or the daddy longlegs that Michaela shared, and just something about repeating bugs is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you working on? Tell us what you're working on.
Oh, I'm finally working on a really long form story titled Love is Like Falling in a Black Hole. And I have all the pages in front of me that I finished. I'm like, let's see, 8 out of probably like 120 pages done.
Going, okay. Well,
Yeah.
luckily it's still early there. Well, thanks so much for doing this again. I've done this a number of times. It's always been awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I always have a great time. My favorite part is seeing all the stories.
Yeah. And one day we'll have you back just to do poop stories, maybe. No, I'm kidding. Everybody, I'm
I
kidding.
would be down. But
Oh, okay. Right. Well, maybe we'll pencil it in for the middle of winter when everybody needs a pick-me-up.
that sounds good.
All right. I'm going to ask
Yeah.
everybody to unmute and give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Next week, we've got
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Have a good weekend, everybody. And we'll see you in a week. Thank you so much.
Next
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.